What are your takeaways from that game? What do you think about that one?
Tale of two halves for both teams. We had a really good first half, and I would say, Edmonton is probably thinking they could have been better in the first half. We didn't play very well in the second half, didn't make enough plays, and they did. So, tight battle. You lose by 3 points against a good football team. That's never going to be good enough, right? We gotta find ways to make plays to get the outcome our way.
Losing a game the way that happened, though, with their comeback and stuff, that's got to be pretty frustrating at this point, eh?
Yeah, they're all frustrating, absolutely. But that doesn't change our process. We watch the film, see the truth, figure out how to make more plays, get back to work. That's what we're going to do.
Mike, the offense was really clicking in the first half. What happened in the second half that it was such a struggle?
Yeah, I think in the third quarter, we didn't stay on the field, right? I don't know how many plays we had in the third quarter, maybe 4 or 6, I'm not sure, not very many. So in order to get the plays you want to get run, you got to stay on the field, and we just couldn't. So that's, once again, it was a complete script flip from the first half, and until you really dive down into the film, it's hard to say exactly what the difference was. But everybody. The truth is always, if you want more plays, you need to have more plays. You need to stay on the field, right? So, and we couldn't. And then you'd like to get a stop near at the end, force him to kick rather than give him a field goal. But, they dump it off to Rankin, and he does his thing.
It's hard to criticize that first half, but there were some things left out there, too, that in the end could have been critical, too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you lose by 3. I make a decision to go for it. Inside the 5 on third and 3. Could have got a first down out of it, or scored a touchdown, but still could have got a first down, which gives you, I think, 2 options there in my mind. But when you lose by 3 and you didn't take that field goal, I'm sure that comes into question.
There were so many plays in that game that were kind of important. When you challenged the roughing the passer, what did you guys see that didn't get overturned?
Well, we see it as late. The rule is to avoid all unnecessary contact. And so when you got an opportunity to not push the quarterback, you're supposed to not push the quarterback. But that's their decision, whatever, that's what it came down.
And then in the second half, it looked like Trey Valvo might have had an interception happen right in front of the bench. What did you guys see on that? Because it wasn't really clear on TV.
The tie's always going to go to the offense on that. You'd like to rip it out a little harder. The question for me would be whether or not anybody had control of it before they were already out of bounds. So I don't have a challenge left, so there's nothing I'm going to do about that.
What do you say to your team after that? Because a game like that could be pretty demoralizing.
It's pretty matter-of-factly, right? We'll watch the film and find out how we can make a few more plays. Told them it was, once again, just like I said here, it was a tale of two halves. So in the second half, we have to find ways to make more plays, and we didn't. And that's in all 3 phases, not just on offense. So need to stop at the end, need some points somewhere in the third quarter, would have been good. But I think the group is settled into a good spot right now where they're going to be very disappointed about this, but they're not going to let it drag on.